know this sounds impossible, but 19-year-old Caleb Monroe had been homeless for exactly 11 days when a lawyer told him he had inherited an abandoned fire station from a father everyone in his family had spent 15 years calling a coward. Not a house, not money, not a car. A boarded-up fire station on the edge of Mill Creek, Kentucky, with a cracked bell tower, rusted bay doors, and a red sign so faded you could barely read the number on it. Station 17. Caleb almost laughed when the lawyer said it, because by then, laughing was easier than admitting he was scared. He had aged out of foster care with a duffel bag, $83, 2 hoodies, 1 pair of boots, and a birth certificate that listed a father he barely remembered. Nathan Monroe, former firefighter, dead, disgraced. That was the version Caleb had grown up hearing. His Uncle Ray had said it the most. "Your father ran when people needed him," Ray would say. "Don't grow up like him." Caleb had heard that sentence so many times, it became part of the furniture inside his head. By 19, he did not know whether he hated his father or missed him. Maybe both. The lawyer, Mrs. Ellison, slid a folder across the desk. "Your father left very specific instructions," she said. Caleb looked at the folder, then at the brass key taped to the top page. "Listen," he said, his voice rough from sleeping outside. "My father died when I was 4. Why am I hearing about this now?" Mrs. Ellison folded her hands. "Because the trust was sealed until your 19th birthday, and because someone tried to sell the building last month." Caleb looked up. "Who?" She hesitated. "Your Uncle Ray." For a second, Caleb thought he had misheard her. Ray had been the closest thing he had to family after his mother disappeared into addiction and caseworkers started moving him from house to house. Ray never took him in, not really. He would let Caleb sleep on his couch for a weekend, maybe 2, then say things like, "I can't raise another man's mistake." But he always talked about the fire station, always said it was a stain on the family, always said Nathan left nothing but debt and shame. Now Caleb was holding a key to that shame. Mrs. Ellison opened the folder. "The building is legally yours. Your father paid the taxes through a trust for 15 years. There is also a note." She handed him a small envelope. On the front, in handwriting Caleb did not recognize, were 5 words. "For Caleb. Open inside, Station 17. Caleb stared at it. "Why inside?" Mrs. Ellison's voice softened. "Your father said you would understand better there." Caleb almost said he understood enough already. He understood sleeping under a bridge behind a grocery store because the shelter was full. He understood eating gas station crackers for dinner. He understood watching families walk past him like homelessness was contagious. What he did not understand was why a dead man had left him a building nobody wanted. Still, the key had weight, and when you have nowhere to sleep, even a broken door starts to look like a possibility. That afternoon, Caleb took a bus to Mill Creek. The town sat in a valley between old coal roads and pine-covered hills. Main Street had a pharmacy, a diner, a barber shop, and more empty windows than open ones. People looked at Caleb when he walked by, not because they knew him, but because small towns notice strangers carrying everything they own. Station 17 stood at the end of Maple Street. The building was brick, dark red beneath years of soot and weather. Two big garage doors faced the street, both chained shut. Above them, the bell tower leaned slightly, like it had been tired for a long time. The windows were dusty, but not broken. Someone had kept the worst of the place from falling apart. Caleb stood on the sidewalk and looked up. His father had walked through those doors. His father had probably tied his boots here, drank coffee here, laughed here, maybe held baby Caleb in his arms here before everything went wrong. The thought hit harder than he expected. He took the brass key from his pocket and walked to the side entrance. The lock resisted, then turned. Inside, the air smelled like old smoke, motor oil, dust, and rain trapped in concrete. Caleb stepped into a narrow hallway. His boots echoed. The main bay opened in front of him, wide and empty. Faded yellow lines marked where fire trucks once parked. Hoses hung on one wall like sleeping snakes. A row of helmets sat on a shelf, coated with dust. Near the back was a staircase leading up to the dormitory. The place should have felt dead, but it didn't. It felt like someone had left in a hurry and expected to come back. Caleb opened his father's envelope. Inside was a single page. Caleb, if you're reading this, then you made it to 19. I'm sorry I wasn't there to see it. I know what they told you about me. I know Ray will say I ran. I know the town will remember the story that made everyone comfortable. But I need you to do one thing before you believe any of them. Go upstairs. Find locker 17. The combination is your birthday. Your father, Nathan. Caleb read it twice, then a third time. Locker 17. His mouth went dry. He climbed the stairs slowly. The upstairs dormitory had metal bed frames, old lockers, a long table, and a kitchen area with cracked tile. Dust covered everything except one path across the floor. A narrow, clean path leading to the far wall. Someone had been here, recently. Caleb followed it. The lockers were numbered with small metal plates. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Locker 17 was different. The others were dented and rusted. This one had a new padlock. Caleb felt cold spread through his chest. He entered his birthday. The lock opened. Inside was not a uniform, not tools, not old boots. There was a metal box, a cassette recorder, a stack of letters tied with black string, and a framed photograph of a young firefighter holding a little boy on his shoulders. Caleb recognized the boy before he recognized the man. It was him, 4 years old, laughing, sitting on Nathan Monroe's shoulders in front of Station 17. His father was smiling up at him, like Caleb was the only thing in the world that mattered. Caleb sat down on the floor. "I'm not gonna lie," he whispered. "I don't know what I'm supposed to feel right now." He opened the metal box first. Inside were newspaper clippings about the fire that killed Nathan. Mill Creek warehouse fire claims 2 lives. Firefighter accused of abandoning crew. Investigation inconclusive. Caleb had seen one of those articles before. Ray kept a copy folded in a kitchen drawer like proof. But under the clippings was something Caleb had never seen. A flash drive. a handwritten incident report, and a letter from Nathan's captain dated 2 weeks before Caleb's father died. Nathan, Ray is asking questions about the settlement money again. Be careful. He knows your name is still on the land deed. If anything happens to me, make sure the station records are copied and locked away. Caleb stared at the letter. Settlement money? Land deed? He pulled out the cassette recorder and pressed play. For a moment, there was only static. Then his father's voice filled the dormitory. Older than Caleb remembered. Lower. Tired. Caleb, okay, listen. I hope you never hear this because I hope I get to tell you myself. But if I don't, there's something you need to know. I did not run from that fire. Caleb stopped breathing. The voice continued. That night, the warehouse alarm came in after midnight. We were told the building was empty. It wasn't. There were 2 workers trapped in the back office. Captain Ellis and I went in. The floor was already soft from heat. The radio traffic got cut off, but the recorder in the engine kept running. Caleb looked at the flash drive. His father's voice cracked. I got 1 man out. Ellis got the other. Then the roof dropped. Ray told people I ran because he needed me blamed. He needed the investigation closed before anyone looked at the property records. Caleb's hands began to shake. Your uncle had been taking payments from the warehouse owner to keep code violations quiet. I found out. Captain Ellis found out. We were going to turn everything in the next morning. The room seemed to tilt. For 15 years, Caleb had carried a story that was not even his father's sin. It was Ray's. Nathan kept speaking. I hid copies in locker 17. If Ray finds this before you do, he'll destroy it. That's why the trust locked the station until you were 19. You needed to be old enough to own the truth. Caleb pressed both hands to his face. No one tells you how much betrayal hurts when it reaches backward into your childhood. It does not just break the present. It rewrites every lonely night you thought you understood. That was when the floor downstairs creaked. Caleb froze. Someone was inside the station. He quietly stopped the tape. Another creak. Then a voice. Caleb? Ray. Caleb stood, wiping his face fast. Inside was a single page. Ray climbed the stairs, wearing a brown work jacket and carrying the same smile he used when he wanted to look harmless. Look at you, Ray said. You found the place. Caleb stood in front of locker 17. How did you know I was here? Ray glanced around. Small town. People talk. His eyes moved past Caleb to the open locker. That building should have been sold years ago, Ray said. It's a hazard. It's mine. Ray laughed softly. You're 19. You don't know what to do with a fire station. Caleb picked up the metal box. Ray's smile faded. What's that? Something Dad left me. For a second, Ray's face changed completely. The friendly uncle disappeared. Something colder stepped into his place. Caleb, Ray said, listen to me. Your father was unstable near the end, obsessed with blaming people. Whatever he wrote down, whatever you think you found, it won't help you. Caleb looked at him. You knew about locker 17. Ray said nothing. You tried to sell the station before I could open it. Ray stepped closer. I was trying to protect you from a painful history. No, Caleb said. You were trying to protect yourself. The silence upstairs felt heavy enough to bend the walls. Ray lowered his voice. You have no idea what men do when they're desperate. Caleb held the metal box tighter. I know what boys do when they're abandoned, he said. They believe whatever story the adults leave behind. Ray's jaw worked. Then he turned and walked downstairs. Caleb waited until he heard the side door slam. Then he ran. Not out of fear, out of urgency. He took the metal box, the letters, the cassette, and the flash drive to Mrs. Ellison. By evening, she had contacted the state fire marshal's office. By the next week, the old case was reopened. The flash drive held engine audio from the night of the warehouse fire. Nathan's voice was there, clear through the static, calling that he had found a trapped worker. Captain Ellis's voice answered. There were timestamps. There were names. There were also payment records hidden inside the station's old filing cabinet, linking Ray to the warehouse owner. Ray had not just lied. He had let Nathan take the blame, so no one would look at him. The town found out slowly, then all at once. A local reporter came, then the state investigators. Then old firefighters who had worked with Nathan started showing up at Station 17, standing in the bay with their hats in their hands. One of them, a broad man named Luis Ortega, found Caleb near the engine marks on the concrete. I should have said something years ago, Luis said. Caleb looked at him. Why didn't you? Luis swallowed. Because the official story came fast. Because Ray was loud. Because grief makes cowards out of people who aren't ready to lose more. Caleb wanted to hate him, but honestly, he was too tired. I grew up thinking my father ran, Caleb said. Luis nodded, eyes wet. He didn't. Your father went back in when everyone else was backing out. 3 months later, the state issued a formal correction. Nathan Monroe was cleared. Captain Ellis was honored. Ray was charged for falsifying records, bribery, and obstruction tied to the old warehouse investigation. But here's the thing. Caleb did not feel fixed. He thought truth would make him whole. Instead, it made him angry in a cleaner way. A way that finally had direction. He moved into the old dorm room upstairs at Station 17. Mrs. Ellison helped him file paperwork to convert the building into a community emergency center. Luis and other retired firefighters repaired the bay doors. A church donated cots. The diner sent coffee. A hardware store owner brought paint and refused payment. Caleb painted the front sign himself. Station 17, the Monroe Center. Below it, in smaller letters, a safe place when the night gets too heavy. The first person who slept there was a 17-year-old boy whose stepfather had kicked him out after an argument. Caleb made him soup from a can and gave him a blanket from the donation shelf. The boy sat on a cot, staring at the floor. I'm not trouble, he whispered. Caleb sat across from him. I know. How? Caleb looked around the old fire station, the repaired lockers, the cleaned bay, his father's helmet in a glass case by the door. Because people said that about me, too. Over time, Station 17 became a place where people came when they had nowhere else to go. Storm nights, cold nights, nights after fights at home, nights when pride was not warm enough. Caleb kept locker 17 locked, but not hidden. Inside, he placed his father's tape, the photograph, the corrected report, and the first key he ever held to the building. On the outside of the locker, he mounted a small brass plate. Truth waits. Open the door anyway. One evening, almost a year after he first walked into the station with a duffel bag and $83, Caleb stood in the main bay while rain tapped against the windows. Luis was repairing a shelf. A teenager was sleeping upstairs. Coffee brewed near the old dispatch desk. The building smelled different now. Not like smoke and dust. Like old wood, rain, coffee, and people staying alive one more night. Caleb took his father's photograph from the wall and looked at it. Nathan Monroe, not a coward, not a man who ran. A father who had protected the truth long enough for his son to find it. Caleb touched the frame. "Look," he whispered. "I'm still mad you're gone. I think I'll always be mad about that." The rain kept falling. "But I know now. I know you didn't leave me with nothing." He looked around Station 17. The cots, the lights, the open door. The people who would come through it when the world outside became too cold. His father had not left him a ruined building. He had left him the truth, and a place to make sure other forgotten kids did not have to sleep outside before someone believed them. Caleb did not inherit an abandoned fire station. He inherited the truth his father died protecting, and turned it into a door for everyone the world had left outside.